Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are another weekend down and another race in the books. This was a race, just a 5K, thankfully, a week after the full marathon in Memphis, Tennessee. So it was not my prettiest race ever, although it was not bad. It was the weekend for the Westport KC Santa Dash. And so it's one we've done before. We were there last year. We actually had the race director on the show last year to talk about the race. The race has changed hands a few times, I do believe, but credit to them, even with I don't know, I'm sure changing race directors and changing who's running what, it can be a little confusing, a little weird, but they handled it like champs. It was a great race, another fun morning in Westport. We could not have asked for a better morning. The wind was a little stiff, but I don't think we can blame the race for that, can we? Nah, we won't blame the race for that. The wind was a little stiff coming out of the north, made it feel a little colder than it was. But while we were cold at the start line, once you got going, it was really quite a pleasant race. And then the wind pushed you all the way back, as it was basically a 5K that was kind of an out and back. You went north, you got to where you were going to hang a left, you hung a left, you went about a block over, and then turned right around and headed back a block away. So not a bad race. Westport is always fun. Again, the wind pushed us to the finish line, and they had the biggest inflatable Santa Claus at this race that I have ever seen. I took a picture with it, and the race photographers were nice enough to capture my picture. So once we get that, I'll put it out on the social media so you guys can see that. But it was large. It was a very large inflatable Santa. Now, I am excited about this race, and this is just my opinion, not based on any facts. Really, a guess is what you could call it. So, new people running the race, changed hands a couple times. At the race, they were selling off everything for like $5. So old pint glasses, old coffee mugs. They had all the old medals just laying on the table. Take what you want. They had one for this year. It was today's Metal Monday post, but they had previous ones sitting there. People could kind of take what they want. So I'm hoping that this is kind of an out with the old, in with the new kind of a thing. And maybe next year we've got new stuff, new medals, new merch, new swag, different design. Maybe they could, it's Christmas time. There's a million different directions they could take things. So again, I have no foreknowledge that this is the case, but I'm excited by the possibilities that next year we could have a whole bunch of new stuff coming our way. So that's just, what I think. I enjoy that race. I recommend that race to everyone. Again, the Westport KC Santa Dash, that was last year, was a new PR for me after like 11 years stuck on my old PR. And this year, even after running a full marathon a week ago, I was able to beat last year's time like by a couple seconds. It wasn't much. It was almost identical. I think I beat last year's time by 3 seconds. So, hey, go me. But again, I will take that given what I just put myself through. When we took off from the race, and I'm sure anyone who's run a marathon has had this problem, the first time you really run after that marathon, I don't know about you, but the closest thing I could compare it to, if you remember back in school, if you were old enough to do this, and I'm sure it was science class or maybe shop or something like that, science is my guess, where you made the bridges out of toothpicks, and then you tried to see how much weight your bridge could support, your bridge that was made out of toothpicks that were rubber banded or glued together or whatever the case might be. That is what my knees felt like. My knees felt like the toothpick bridge. And with every step, especially in like the first quarter mile to a half mile, I highly expected for my knees to just shatter like those bridges all inevitably did once there was too much weight on it. I expected my knees to just crumble and for me to fall to the ground and to be trampled by the other runners. Because man, my knees were killing me, especially during the early going of that race. And again, finally, they warmed up a little bit. My legs loosened up a little bit, but I could definitely tell I was not back to 100% post-marathon. And so I ran well. Like the cardio was there. The stamina was there. It was simply the leg fatigue and then the pain in the knees that hampered my run. Again, a good run. I'll take it. It was still, top 10 of my all-time 5K times, if you can believe that. I think I'd have been right around number 5 on the list now. Yes, I'm a dork with a spreadsheet and I keep all my times, but it is an easy course. I do like that course. I think the Westport Santa Dash course is an easy one. So I like it. After the race, we all, quite a few of us met at Kelly's, which the reason we go to Kelly's, just so you guys know, not that you asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Kelly's Inn in Westport was my father's favorite bar. Now, you know, he passed away in 2016, but every time I go to Westport, I try and get a beer at Kelly's, just kind of in his memory, because that was his favorite bar. He and I had gone there many a time. And so that is why Kelly's is kind of near and dear to my heart. So we went to Kelly's. We had a few drinks. Several people joined us. Thank you for all the folks who came out. It is always fun to just sit around, talk running, shoot the breeze, enjoy the holidays. Yeah, that was a fun time. So that was Saturday. That was the race. And like I said, this was coming right off the heels of a full marathon. And so I thought, at least on the first part of this episode, this is not going to be the whole thing. So don't like tune me out thinking I don't need to hear this. I'm going to give you a little bit of reminder fuel on how we recover from full marathons, because it is a different beast. How I recover from a full marathon and how I recover from a half marathon are very different. Of course, we all bounce back a lot quicker from halves. It takes maybe twice as long to bounce back from full. Funny how that works. Math is amazing. But here's just a few things, and this is from Yale Medicine. I figured if I'm going to read this, I'm going to go to the tippity top. Here's how Yale Medicine says you need to recover from full marathons. Some of this will pertain to you, some of it will not. And then we're going to have just kind of a different subject to finish up our episode this week, okay? Because again, we are here now. It is, where's my calendar? There's behind me, December 11th. So it is December 11th right now, if you can believe that. Next week, and again, I told you guys that we are going to have Allison on this week. I am a liarhead. She is not here, and it is my fault because my I don't know, my organizational skills left a lot to be desired last week. I was not on the ball. We are still going to get together with her and record an episode. I'm hoping for next week, but my fault that she's not here this week. Completely my fault. So we're going to do that. And then that is the last Monday before Christmas. We're going to take 2 weeks off because Christmas Day is a Monday. New Year's Day is a Monday. I'm not going to release episodes on those days. Give me a break. No one's going to listen to them. And, you know, it hurts my feelings when people don't listen to the show. So my numbers will be way down. For some reason, Santa is going to beat me in the ratings, and I don't want to lose to Santa Claus. So we're not going to have an episode. We're going to take 2 weeks off for the holiday. That way we're back at the start of 2024, rip roaring and ready to go. So that is what we're looking like for the rest of this season. Okay. But as we're saying, this is recovering from a marathon, just 10 quick tips just to help you out. And again, some of them will pertain to you, some won't. The first one is refuel in the immediate aftermath. Okay, duh. Who doesn't do that? Who, after a marathon, does not go and completely gorge themselves on any and everything that they can possibly find? I do. So I went to Dyer's Burgers after the marathon, and I had a big cheeseburger after the marathon last week in Memphis, Tennessee. So, okay, check, refuel in the immediate aftermath. Number two, and this is the one that I was really curious about because everyone has a different theory. The suggestion is take a break from running, but a lot of people don't agree on what that break looks like or how long that break is. One thing that I had heard when I was a new runner, so a long time ago, was you take a day. Yeah, you take a day for every mile that you ran. So for a full marathon, you would take 26 days off of running. Okay. I get the logic. I understand the logic. And, you know, that's really easy to figure out. Okay, 1 mile equals 1 day of rest post-race. Got it. Okay, 26. To me, that seems like a lot. And I know a lot of us would have a really hard time taking 26 straight days away from running. I made it 7. Well, 6, kind of. It was a week. It was a Saturday to Saturday. You do the math. I mean, if you want to call it 7, call it 7. You want to call it 6, call it 6. Either way, I went from full marathon to 5K, from one Saturday to the next. That was as far as I could go. Now, in the middle of that, on Tuesday of last week, my men's soccer team, they were going to be really short. They needed me, or well, they needed someone. It just happened to be me. I was available. So I actually went and played men's indoor soccer 3 days after a full marathon. You can imagine how great my legs felt and how bouncy and springy I was on the pitch. I was not bouncy nor springy on the pitch, but we won. And so even about shorthanded, we won the game. So go Pizza Boys. So yeah, what they say in this Yale article for taking a break is take a week. They say 1 week. They say rest your body for a week. Don't run, don't strength train, definitely don't do anything new. That's coming up here in a minute, but take a week off. That makes way more sense. Now, was I completely recovered after 1 week? No, I wasn't. Like I said, my knees were killing me Saturday at the race. Could my legs have felt worse? Yes. Are they on the way up to better? Yes. Am I also like older than most of the runners? Yes. So I think a week is about right. We'll go with a week. So that's what they suggest is 1 week. Number 3, it says wait on the massage. Okay. So let me read what they say on waiting on the massage. There's nothing like a good sports massage to ease tired muscles, but it might be best to wait a couple of days after the marathon. You want to get maximum benefit and not create more muscle damage. Some marathon events, however, may offer gentle massages or stretching exercises from physical therapists after the race, and those may be beneficial. So, okay, if you're going in for your big sports massage, don't do it like 5 minutes after the race. Shower first. Now, take a few days so that you don't take your already torn and damaged muscles and make it worse on accident. Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense to me. Number 4, don't just sit on the couch. But why? I like the couch, especially right now. Number 4, don't sit on the couch. While it's important to let your body recover, you shouldn't simply lounge on the couch for days on end. Doing absolutely nothing after a marathon isn't the answer. It's a good idea to rest, but also to do some low impact cross training. That could be an elliptical machine, a bike, swimming, stretching, or yoga. The idea is to find something that isn't impacting your joints. When you run, your body weight rests entirely on your legs, which puts a lot of stress on your body. Okay, sure. So if you are a biker, a swimmer, a yoga person, you're good to go after a marathon. It'll actually be beneficial. I am none of those things. I have no flexibility, so there is no yoga for me. Number 5, reintroduce running gradually. So I'm going to pick on someone right now. I'm going to pick on the person who went to, I don't know, let's just say Omaha and ran a full marathon. And then a weekend later ran a half marathon in Kansas City. Allegedly, that person ran a really good time on that half marathon. But according to Yale, you did not reintroduce running gradually, young lady. No. Again, I tease because she's a better runner than I'll ever dream of being. But no, they say reintroduce running gradually. Again, everyone's circumstance is different. When you start running again after 5 to 7 days off, consider making the first 3 runs super easy and short. If all goes well, the next 3 can be a little more intense. This is in service of getting your joints moving. Later in the week, you can take stock and see how you feel. There isn't some formulaic plan. If the marathon took a great toll on your body, you need to pay attention to that and not rush to do too much. Okay, so see, you can ease into it, but just see how your body feels. That makes sense. I'm sure that on Saturday at my race, I went harder than I would have if I had just gone and done a run around the block, which I intend to do. I'm actually going to do that today. I've got a nice little 2-mile route. I'm going to take 2 miles, nice and easy, just to kind of keep the joints moving, help everything get loosened back up, because we've still got 2 more races to do before the end of this year. We've got, what are we at? We're at the 11th. So we got 20 more days. I've got 2 races coming up. We have a 5K and a half marathon coming up. So I got to baby the legs, make sure they carry me all the way to the finish line of 2023. Number 6, don't take up something new. The weeks immediately after a marathon are not the best time to start experimenting with an entirely new type of workout. Let's see here. Even if you feel you're at your peak fitness level, it does not translate to the same level of fitness in a different activity. You want to build up gradually to any new exercise, just as you did with the marathon plan. This is 100% true. And if you go back to the episode over the summer, I'm dropping too many because I'm thinking and it hurts. If you go back to the triathlon episode, I was completely wrong in my triathlon planning. I thought that all these miles I did running would equal triathlon success. And of course, if you've listened to that episode, you know that it absolutely did not. It did not. I stunk at the triathlon because it is a completely different beast than running. And again, I thought my cardio would take me through. It did not. because the swimming about drowned me, the biking about killed me, and the run just wasn't any fun because I had absolutely nothing left in the tank after doing those first two things that I was in no way, shape, or form ready for. So that's very true. The taking up something new, careful on that. I speak from experience. Again, what was the old tagline to this podcast? I make the mistakes so you don't have to. Number 7, return to strength training carefully. Makes sense. As we talked about, your muscles, your joints, everything is kind of on high level, ouchy, high level, aggravated. So just be very careful reintroducing stuff. Number 8, listen to your body. Again, self-explanatory. Listen, if you are going to overpush it, if you know that something is hurting and you shouldn't be doing what you're doing, stop. Don't do it anymore. Stop it. Rest. Don't do it. Number 9, remember to sleep. Okay. Always my biggest problem because I'm not a good sleeper. Doesn't matter what I run. It doesn't matter really how the body feels. I am not a good sleeper. So it really took a lot of nights to try and catch up on rest from all the exertion of the marathon, because I didn't just go back to the hotel room last weekend, crawl into bed and sleep for 12 hours. No, my body hurt too much. I couldn't sleep. So I maybe got 4 to 5 hours of sleep and then drove home from Memphis, Tennessee back to Kansas City. So the sleep is important. I hope that you are a better sleeper than I. I'm a crap sleeper. That's just truth. But always try, sleep when you can. If you're a napper, take naps. If you can get to sleep at night, get to sleep at night, but just make sure that you're a little more aware that sleep is important. And then number 10, and we've talked about this before. We talked about this after the Boston Marathon in April. Accept the post-race blues and plan ahead. Now, I am grateful that here after Memphis, I have plenty of other things on the calendar in the distance that I'm looking at. There was no post-race blues. There was no, gee, golly, what do I do now? If you go back to the Boston episodes, there absolutely was. After the Boston episode, which was always my peak, number 1, wanted to do tippity top of the pyramid, biggest race on the bucket list. When I was done with that, I didn't know what to do. And I absolutely went through those post-race blues. So if your marathon is the end-all be-all of your marathoning, whether it be New York, Chicago, Boston, Disney World weekend, or something that just means a ton to you, be prepared for a little letdown when you're done, because that journey has come to an end. Thankfully, in the running world, there's 11 billion other journeys that you can then begin. And that really is a positive of this running world. So, all right. So that's going to do it for that. That's just, again, a quick, don't forget about this kind of stuff after a full marathon. And you can take all of that after a half marathon too. All of that 100% pertains to really whatever distance is kind of taxing you, really, that really gets you. This is my hat sliding all over the place here. It's a cool hat though, except my head is getting really hot. Okay, so one piece of news coming up, and then I want to read something to you. So the piece of news coming up, back in November, you guys heard me talk about the Lagerhead half marathon. I have run Lagerhead 2 years in a row. It takes place in Ottawa, Kansas. There is a half marathon and full marathon distance. It is a very flat, very straight race. Okay. Apparently, based on the email that came out from the race this week, they started that during the Rona, really is kind of a something to do, help people stay active during the pandemic, things like that. They had planned on it, I don't know, either being a 1 and done or a 2 and done, but they've kind of kept it going. They have finally indicated, though, that 2024 will be the last Lagerhead Marathon half marathon event. So just wanted you to be aware. I have spoken highly of that race. I like Lagerhead. I think it's a great race. Again, I've done it twice. I've finally heard about it, and I've done it the 2 years that I've known it existed. And so I will be back in 2024. I'm seriously contemplating making it the full marathon, because while I have the Kansas City Marathon, I don't have a full marathon in Kansas. The Kansas City Marathon, of course, takes place in Missouri if you're not in this area. If I want a marathon in all 50 states, I need Kansas, my state in which I live. And so the Loggerhead would actually be a good one, especially if it's going to be its last year. What I would like to see, because I have met the guys from Loggerhead and I've done this race, and I think it is a high quality event and it is run very well by the gentleman in charge. I would love for us all to really try and make Loggerhead a focus in November. I hope you will come out for the half marathon or the full marathon, whichever you feel like doing. But I would love to see a big Back of the Pack podcast presence at this race. So we will definitely be mentioning it more and more. Who knows? Maybe I need to get those guys on the podcast if they'd be willing to come on, and we will talk Lagerhead. But I would love if we gave them just kind of the biggest send off that we could possibly do, because I think that's important. And again, I've enjoyed their race. I'm sorry to see it go, but I can't say that I don't understand. I absolutely understand. Organizing these races are tough, man. They are not easy. So I want to read you something. I'm going to try and put a little pause in here because I know that Spreaker, the platform I upload this to, they've started inserting commercials into the show. And if I pause long enough and do a bad William Shatner, maybe they'll insert it right around here before we go to the next subject. Again, I can hope. I don't know. I have no say on where they put those stupid commercials. And I love that even though we're small and even though like they know what part of the country we're in, I get a lot of European commercials inserted into the podcast. I have no idea why. Again, I get no say in this. I guess I'm glad we're successful enough that we now have advertising inserted into our show from Spreaker. Yay. Okay. So as you guys know, and remember, and I know, you know, we all know, this past week, the lottery drawings for two really big races. The Berlin Marathon for 2024, their 50th running, and then, of course, the Bank of America Chicago Marathon coming up in October. We're all in the lottery, so many of us, I know because I've seen the results. And about 95% of us were all met with levels of disappointment. So here's what happened. For Chicago, apparently they had the largest number of entrants ever. 120,000 people entered for the Chicago Marathon. And again, after you take away charity bibs, legacy runners, and people who just were in by other means, you maybe had 30,000 spots available out of 120,000 ballots received. Okay. So a lot of rejection letters went out this week for the Chicago Marathon. I was among them. I definitely got the rejection letter for Chicago. Almost everyone who listens to the show and participates on our Facebook stuff indicated that they were in the same way. One person got in. Congratulations to her. We will all be cheering for you. I know several other listeners had already secured spots through charities. Great for you. Ronald McDonald House has a lot of us running for him. Great cause. If you guys need some platform for donation, I'm happy to share your information. But a lot of people rejected for Chicago, and I get it. While I can't be there, I still can't wait for all of you who are going. I think you're going to have a great experience. And trust me, I'm going to be rooting for you. I'm going to be rooting hard for you come Columbus Day weekend 2024 in Chicago, Illinois. The Berlin Marathon, same thing. They said they had a record number of people enter the lottery. They did not divulge what that number was. But again, if you think it's maybe a 50,000 person race and maybe 30 to 35,000 spots available, if they had a record number, and I'm willing to bet it beat Chicago, then yeah, there were just going to be people who didn't make it. So a lot of people with rejections. I had joined a Facebook group that was called, let me see if I can see it here, BMW Berlin Marathon 2024. Very original name. For people who were hopefuls for the race, people who are going to the race. I've never been to Berlin, Germany. So, maybe I could get a few tips and tricks. Really what it seems to be is a big whine fest for people. Just wham, wham, I didn't make the race. Or haha, I did. It's not been a great experience. But there was a post in particular that got my attention, and I wanted to read this to you. This post is why this podcast exists. This post is trying to find the right politically correct words. This is why there is some division within the running world. I understand that some people feel they are better than others. I could not disagree with you more. There is not one runner who is a better person than another. You might be more talented. You might be faster. You might have trained harder. Does that equal better? Well, maybe you could split hairs on the definition of the word. However, whether you run a 4-minute mile or 12-minute mile, it's all the same distance. Okay. And it's really, your time does not reflect the heart of the person running the race. There are 7-hour marathoners who have more in here than an elite level runner. You have the talent. They have the heart. You tell me which is better. So this post came out, and this person, I don't know if English is their first language. They're very fluent in it, but not everything is perfect. So I'll do my best to kind of shave this, to make it a little more sense. So this gentleman, who is from over in Europe, so all the dollar amounts mentioned are in euros, he says, and I quote, "We have gotten to the point that today only the rich can participate in a marathon. It takes a minimum of 3,500 euros, and someone like me who isn't rich has to be content with doing a few races close to home. I don't think that's right. It's all a business now. People who go to New York and take 6 hours, while the real marathon runners, those like me, who do a maximum of 4 hours, stay at home to watch those who, after having a holiday in New York, return to their lives as Sunday runners. Sorry for the outburst. I'm very saddened by this. I am not rich. I'm a poor retiree. And for this reason, I have no right to race in Berlin or in any other international race. I missed the time when there weren't so many of us running that we could afford to go to important marathons with a maximum participation fee of 50 euros. He ends with Merry Christmas to all. So, ass clown, I think, in my humble opinion, that you're a professional troll. I think you simply said that in the way that you said it to get all the responses that you could. So allow me to bite. As in, you can bite me. To say that a 6-hour marathoner is not a real runner. Your 4-hour marathon, which is not elite level, makes you a real runner. Those who might take 6 hours, we are not real runners. You are full of shit up to your ears, kind sir. And as I said before this little diatribe that I'm on, you cannot measure the heart of any other participant in any race that you have ever towed the line on. You don't know shit about what it takes to be a runner. You're simply a allegedly physically talented individual, which means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing. You could be the fastest person in the world. You could be Ulib Kipchoge. But if you are a complete ass clown, I don't care about your abilities and I don't care about your records. I don't care that you run and I don't care about that I hear you in the news. I don't care about pro athletes who turn out to be assholes. I just don't care. I care about the pro athletes who on their off days are working in soup kitchens. I care about the athletes who take the time to sign every autograph from every kid that is standing in the stands. And I care about the elite level talent like we have here in Kansas City. The people who will run a full marathon, they'll do it in about 90 seconds. They might shower up or change their shirt, and then they cheer on all their friends who are finishing. And they are just as excited for their first friend that comes in as the last person, as in the person in Honolulu who just came in the marathon at 16 hours. And you know what? There was a huge crowd of people for this gentleman at the finish line, cheering him, congratulating him, because he had done something amazing. He did 26.2 miles. So did the winner of that race. Who has the bigger heart? Now, I don't know the winner of that race. I hope they are a high quality individual. This person who decided to get on this post and talk about the Berlin Marathon and him, poor whittle him, not making it in his record setting 4 hours, but because he's a real runner, all of us who maybe are above that should just stay home. We probably shouldn't even run on Sundays, should we? No. That is not what the running community is about. The running community is about support. It is about love. It is about accomplishing something that you may not otherwise have done. It is about the 1% who become marathon finishers. And it does not matter if it's 2 hours or 16. They had the heart to do it. You had the heart to toe the line, and that's what is important. If it's easy to you, go do something else. If the 4-hour marathon is no big deal and people shouldn't be doing it, but you should, no, go run an ultra. Go prove to me how badass you are. Go run a 50K. Go run a 100K. Do a 100-miler. Be out there for 24 hours. You know what? Then I might take you seriously. But I'll tell you what happens then. You run 100 miles, and that is going to humble you because you're not going to be the first person to cross. Those damn ultra marathoners are. The people who know what they're doing. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to stand around and they're going to cheer for every other crazy asshole that crosses that finish line because that's what they do. They'll even cheer for you as much as you may or may not deserve it. So, that ticked me off. just a little bit. But while there are those people, and again, professional troll, I know that 99.9% of runners out there do not share his thoughts. And what was great, and that post has been taken down. Otherwise, I would read you the other end. But I read those comments. That dude got lit up by people. His take did not go over well with the other runners in that group. And that's people from 2-hour marathoners to 6-hour marathoners to us not real runners, us fake runners. Guess what? I'm absolutely going to get a shirt made now that's going to say fake runner on it because I will wear that like a badge of honor. Yeah, I have full marathons to my credit over 6 hours. I have 3 below and I have 7 above. How about them apples? You want to sit there and tell me I'm not a real runner? I dare you. I triple dog dare you to sit there and tell me I'm not a real runner because I have times over 6 hours. Not going to work out well for you there, Chumpstain, because I have many a medal hanging around my wall. I've got 10 of those fulls right there that tell me I am a real runner. That tell me I care about this sport. I care enough to do a podcast. I care enough to put my big fat head on YouTube to talk to people about running because that's how much I enjoy it. You can sit at home, bitch and moan about your little money and about your little finishing times. We are all going to be out there as a running community, and we're going to be out there loving each other and supporting each other, and enjoy your misery. Merry Christmas to you too, sir. So next week, we're going to try and get Allison on, and we're going to talk about her first time marathon. Thankfully, she is a real runner, according to this guy, because she absolutely crushed the Memphis Marathon. See, now I'm getting all tongue-tied because I'm grr. But anyway, so we're gonna try and have her on for next week. That will be the last show of 2023. We'll be back, I think it's January 8th, with a brand new episode to start 2024. Enjoy those few weeks because, like I said last week, running does not have an off season. The races start right back up in January, and you know what? I'm here for it. So next week on Sunday, I will be at the Great Santa Run at Johnson County Community College in Overland Park, Kansas. And then I will be at the Time Travel Half Marathon on New Year's Eve in Parkville, Missouri. So half marathon there for me. That will finish up my 2024. And then we jump right into 2020. I'm sorry, that'll finish up 2023. We will start 2024 at Battle of the Bean in mid-January in Kansas City, Missouri. So there we go. This has been the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker, otherwise known as Fake Runner. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode to finish up 2023. Everyone, we've got a beautiful week coming up. Great weather, low 50s. It's a great time to run here in December. Do it now before whatever hits, if it does. And so everyone have a safe week of training. We'll see you next week.